Hi everyone, welcome to Cindy's Art. I am wanting to put up a few simple pictures that we can paint during this Christmas season. I'm in Michigan. I am so looking forward to snow this week. So I used this reference photo off of unsplash.com and I basically sketched it out, just a few bare minimum facts so that way I could start to work on it. And then I began to paint the candy cane, and I'm going to outline the mug a little bit. I kept this so simple, it's ridiculously easy. I do want to tell you, quinacridone red is one of the reds that I really enjoy using with my watercolor paints. There are some reds, especially like a cadmium red, that is opaque. When you paint, you are not going to add another layer on top of that color. Whereas quinacridone red, I have it in Daniel Smith. That one is more translucent, transparent, and that one along with the permanent alizarin crimson, I like that. I have it in Daniel Smith and then Core, Q-O-R, and I've used those. Another thing that I will experiment with is adding a little bit of violet to my reds. Mayan Violet with Daniel Smith is a great choice. And then the other thing that I've used before is Rose Madder, M-A-D-D-E-R, and that's by Holbein. Choose your favorite reds and just choose a medium type of red, nothing too dark, because the first thing that I did was simply outline right around these snowflakes that are on the mug, and it's also around the outside of it. And I used a very simple red just to fill this in and sketch it out, and then I added a few drops of a darker red in order to add some shading on the mug. Not difficult, just simple, plain fun. Now I'm using a little bit of alizarin crimson, and Daniel Smith's alizarin crimson is a little bit darker. So I used that, and I started to add this in around the areas where the mug is darker to create a three-dimensional effect. You could use a tiny bit of neutral in there, just a tiny bit. I have Holbein Daniel Smith, or excuse me, Holbein neutral that I might add in mine. So I am just adding in a tiny bit of shadows just to make it a little bit more 3D. To work with the marshmallows, if there's a shadow, I'm going to use a cooler tone. That might be a little bit of a blue. If it is more of a cream or a lighter shadow, it's going to have to be a yellow tone. There's blue tones, there's yellow tones. So I'm using a tiny bit of raw sienna for this orangish color for marshmallows. And then I used a little bit of a blue tone, just a smidgy, and I used a cerulean blue for the blue tones, the cooler, and then I used that that raw sienna. You could use, let me think, a yellow ochre. You could use a tiny, tiny bit of yellow ochre in there too. Then when I wanted to add a little tiny bit of the sketching details for the shades of that are in there, or the shade or the shape of the marshmallows, now I can use a tiny, tiny bit of neutral mixed in with that cerulean blue, and play with your colors. Try some different things. Marshmallows have blue tones. They have a yellow or an orange, and then you can use a tiny bit of the browns like I did. Keep it really simple, and then all you're going to do is add in the shadows. For this outside the mug one, I picked up the shadows first because I wanted to remember where are the boundaries, where's the lines in here, and for me to remember where some of those lines are, I will go in and I'll paint some of the darker areas first, then I'll add in some light. And I'm using a yellow. I'm using a tiny bit of Aurelian yellow. And when I say a tiny bit, it's just a smidgy with a lot of water. And the reason why I do that is I don't need it to stand out. I just want to give the impression and the illusion of a yellow, tone in there, a warm tone of marshmallow. So when I finished this picture off, I wound up using one of my Micron pens. That's a pen with a very small tip on it. It makes it really easy for me to just go ahead and sketch out this mug. That's how I wanted to do this. It's a little bit of a sketch and paint mug. And when I finished it off, I can put this on a card and I can send it off to a friend as a Christmas gift. Thanks for joining me. Let's do another one. I've got more Christmas coming.